Yo, what is up guys, and welcome to another Wild Rift video. And in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys a tier list for every single role in the game. So a lot has changed yet again. We got a lot new champions. Gwen, we got Warwick, we got Vex, we got so many different changes on everything. And especially my opinion on ADCs has changed a lot as well. So there are timestamps in the description if you just want to not skip to the gameplay, because I always said it, but if you want to skip to the individual roles and just see the tier list. But if you want to listen to me mumble about them for probably like 45 minutes, then you can sit back, make yourself some tea, grab yourself some popcorn and enjoy. So let's get to it. First of all, the Baron lane tier list. Gwen. So I've put Gwen as S+ tier and like top. Even though you can't really pick a Gwen every game. See, the thing with Gwen is she can 1v5. Like, she can genuinely 1v5. Like, there are not a lot of champions that can, like, actually genuinely 1v5, This is a term we like to say, right? Like, I'm gonna 1v5, I'm gonna 1v9. But not a lot of champions can actually do that. Gwen can really do that with her second ability, with her ultimate, with the lifesteal she has. She can actually do it. So if your entire team is trash, you can still carry on Gwen. See, the thing about Gwen is, though, you have to understand how broken she is that I've put her on top of the S+ tier, even though she has this one major weakness. She's not a tank. And she's not a bruiser either. She does magic damage. So in the Baron lane, like, you need a fitting composition for this. You need a tank in your comp, because you're not going to tank as a Gwen. You want to enter the fight after the tanks as a Gwen. So the fact that she doesn't have any sort of tankiness is a major weakness for her in the Baron lane. I mean, look at all the other champions in the Baron lane. Tanky, and tanky. And I mean here as well, tanky, this guy's tanky, like, everyone is tanky pretty much. But she's not tanky, but she's still on top of all of them. That should truly show you how broken she is. You know what's funny? I'm actually pretty good at Gwen, but just not, I want to master a champion. I say it every time. I haven't made a video on her. I am working on it. I haven't mastered her yet, but I'm going to make a video on her very soon. And I can tell you, like, she's absolutely broken. Next up is Garen. And this is a champion. He's not broken. Like, he's not even, I wouldn't even say that he's like super duper strong. The thing with Garen is you can be 0-5 and still be super useful in the late game. All you have to do, engage, silence someone, use your second ability so you're not gonna die for like 5 seconds, and ult an enemy that is at a low amount of HP. Like, this is if you're useless in the game. If you're doing well, no one is gonna kill you anymore. That's the thing with Garen. Like, he's always useful. With like 95% of the champions, if you fall behind, you're screwed, right? Like, if you're playing Jinx, you fall behind, you're not gonna kill anyone anymore. If you play Zed, you fall behind, you're not gonna be able to assassinate anyone. If you play Yasuo, you fall. Yasuo is a different story, actually. Yasuo can actually do something, but a lot of champions, if you fall behind, you're not gonna be useless, but it's gonna be so hard to do anything, to have impact up until you've made your gold back. Garen, no. Garen's gonna do impact anyways, because his base stats are so powerful. The damage reduction of his second ability, as I said, the true damage from his ultimate, the fact that he has a silence, which is so valuable in a team fight. Absolutely super powerful Baron laner. Next up is Gragas, full AP Gragas. And I mean, I'm experimenting with a new build, by the way. I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but I'm experimenting with a new build on Gragas. Gragas full AP is what I'm talking about here, though. He's insane. Like, the one-shots he has. He counters mobile champions because he one-shots them. Like Lucian, for example. Gragas counters him. Why? Because he can one-shot him. Like, sure, Lucian can dodge Gragas and stuff, but if you do hit him, you can flash on him with your third ability, you're just gonna one-shot him. Like, he won't even have a chance to react to anything. Next up is Wukong, and this was a really hard one for me to put in the Baron lane, because Wukong doesn't really win lane easily. He plays lane even easily. Like, you can just use your first ability to constantly heal up and do good damage to the enemy, but he doesn't really have, like, it's not really that powerful, It's not like Fiora with her ultimate. It's not like Gwen with her ultimate. It's not like Gragas with all of his crazy abilities. His ultimate is really not that strong in a 1v1. But still, like, you can play your lane safely. You can do well. He pushes turrets pretty fast. And then, of course, during team fights, he's very, very powerful. A champion that's not powerful during team fights is Fiora, but yet she's still in the S+ tier. One of the strongest 1v1 champions in the game. One of the fastest turret pushers in the game. And in the late game, no one wants to get close to this champion in the late game. You all know a level 15 Fiora with the Hull Breaker, like, no one can beat her. No one. And even during team fights, like, if you enter the team fight properly, she does have a bit of a same problem as Gwen. one of your teammates has to initiate, because if you initiate, it's really hard to tank up all the damage as a Fiora. Like, sure, she's pretty tanky, but she's just not designed to do that. So you can just focus their backlines, block any important CC ability with your riposte, and, you know, do your thing. Grand challenge, and when you pop that grand challenge, you heal yourself and your entire team. This is super valuable. People forget that people forget how valuable the healing is as well. Like, a lot of people only think Fiora is good at 1v1s and just, you know, destroying the enemy. But no, the healing. After you kill an enemy, it heals your entire team. It's basically like a Janna ultimate. It's not quite as strong as Janna's ultimate, but the healing is so big. It heals your entire team. So keep that in mind when you play Fiora. Set, I put Set in the S+ tier because he got a new cool skin. Nah, I'm joking. Set is actually very, very powerful. And you want to pick Set if the enemy has a very tanky frontline. Like, if the enemies pick Garen or Alistar or any, like, super duper tanky frontline, Sion especially. Oh my god. If the enemy picks Sion, you pick Set. Why? In the case that there is a team fight, all you have to do is just ult the Sion into the enemy, and you're gonna half-life everyone. It's crazy. So that's the thing with Set. He counters tanks incredibly well. And of course, his second ability, the true damage, hurts a lot. He's a very good tank, and he's a good 1v1er. So he just, you know, he is just a very solid champion in the Baron lane. Renekton, I don't think Renekton is S+, but I've still put him there because I see a lot of players do very, very well on him. The reason that I don't think he's S+, because he really struggles in the late game to carry. Sure, they buffed his late game, but still, like, he's pretty tanky in the late game. But if you know, it's just really not that strong in the late game. He really doesn't do a lot in the late game. Like, he doesn't really win 1v1s too easily in the late game unless you're super ahead. During team fights, he's only really a tank. He just doesn't do a lot of damage in the late game anymore. But his early and mid game, that's where he's super duper powerful. You can destroy the enemies in the early mid game. His stun hurts so much. Just his damage. Like, they even made his numbers bigger in the game just to show that he does so much damage in the early game. Let me just quickly check my Discord messages. Okay, never mind. Yeah, Riven. I would say the skilled Riven player S+ tier. And the thing is, a lot of Riven players are skilled because, like, I found that not that many people touch Riven unless they're really good at the champion. Because if you have a player that doesn't really know the Riven combos, it's absolute garbage. Like, she's not S+ tier at all. But the really good Riven players, which it feels like every Riven player is a good Riven player, then she's S+ tier. She has major sustain. She's super powerful up until the very, very late game. Like, the very, very late game, that's when she gets outskilled a little bit. Like, not even that much, but a little bit. The reason is because she gets CC'd and burst damage, and she just really gets bursted down in the very, very late game. Cool, Andy. And next up is Jax. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I have not played Jax in the recent update at all, but he still seems quite powerful. He's definitely not S+ tier anymore. Like, the nerfs finally put him under S+ tier, but he's still very, very powerful. Like, definitely a solid S tier champion. He can hold his ground against most enemies. The dodge is really powerful. The third ability, right, where he swings the thingy around. Like, he can hold his ground in the early game, even though he got nerfed a lot. And of course, in the later stages of the game, he's a super strong split pusher, but also a super strong team fighter. Like, he really has it all. It's just that they nerfed him a lot, that he's really not that broken anymore. Next up is Yone. I actually feel like Yone is not supposed to be a Baron laner, but he's still a super powerful Baron laner because it's Yone. Like, Yone feels overtuned. He does so much damage. He can, like, again, even though he does get countered by bruisers, Yone literally gets countered by bruisers in general, but it doesn't seem to matter because he is so overtuned that you can just play him in the Baron lane. Like, he's not broken in the Baron lane, but he's just S tier in the Baron lane. You know, good. Just very, very good. And his turret pushing absolutely sucks. He has one of the worst turret pushing power in the game, him and Yasuo together. But again, it's just he's so overtuned to, like, he's just an S tier champion in the Baron lane. Next up is Malphite. Malphite can hold his ground against most enemies. You know, what am I even supposed to say about Malphite? It's a stupid rock, and all he can do is rock things. He can throw a rock at the enemy and throw himself at the enemy. Next up is Aurelia. Same story as Riven, you know, the skilled Aurelia players. I am practicing Aurelia, by the way, but I don't know when I can promise you a video because I'm really, you know what I'm struggling with Aurelia? Like, I am decently good at Aurelia, but I'm really struggling to hit the stun, the third ability. Like, I probably have like 40 games of Aurelia now, but I just can't hit the stun properly. Like, I see these insanely good Aurelia players, you know, the pro players, they're able to hit the stun very, very well, but I just can't do that yet. And I'm not going to make an Aurelia video if I cannot do that properly yet, so I'm working on it. But yeah, Aurelia is very, very powerful. If you know her limits, which she basically doesn't have, she's super powerful. She requires a lot of limit testing to get very good at, though. Next up is Sion, you know, the best split pusher in the game. In the later stage of the game, he gets so much health, and like you can basically one versus 3 enemies and waste an insane amount of time, even after you die. And when you do that, your team can get objectives on the opposite side, or they can get turrets on the opposite side, or they can get kills on the opposite side. That's the whole point of Sion. I really recommend you to watch my Sion video if you haven't already. Like, that playstyle really works, you know, the suiciding under turrets playstyle. Next up is Shen. Shen is not really a solo queue champion, but still, he's very powerful. Again, I really recommend you to watch my Shen video. I only have one Shen video, but if you know how to play Shen, you can really punish the enemy Baron laner. Like, unless you're up against like a Darius or a Fiora or something, you're gonna absolutely destroy the enemy Baron laner with Shen if you play him properly, if you use the sword and play him properly. His ultimate is very good as well. If one of your teammates is a good player, your ultimate is going to be super valuable. You just ult on that teammate when he goes in, and you're going to win the team fight. Olaf, I don't really like Olaf Baron lane, but he's just okay. He's okay. You know, his ultimate, his all-in is super powerful. He can beat, like, pretty much, well, not pretty much anyone, but he can beat a lot of champions in the early game when he reaches level 5 with his ultimate. He just runs through their CC and destroys them with his true damage. Next up is Khazadin. I'm sure a lot of you guys have not seen Khazadin in the Baron lane yet, but I'm telling you here right now, Khazadin Baron lane S tier. Super powerful. Like, super, super, super powerful, because you can play safely. It's actually almost easier to play him in the Baron lane than in the mid lane, because you're not going to get ganked as much, because mid lane does get ganked more. And, you know, you're against a bruiser, not a ranged champion, so you won't get punished as much. All you have to do is play it safe, use your second ability to last hit, reach level 5, and level 5 you can play it even more safely, because you can just ult away if you get caught. Akali, very strong. I'm not going to talk too much about the next ones, because these are not the best. Akali is very, very powerful in the Baron lane. Camille, she got nerfed so unbelievably hard, but she's still okay. But now you have to kind of draft her well, I guess. Like, she's a good anti-tank champion. You know, if you're against Rammus, just pick Camille and destroy the Rammus. If you're up against Garen, pick Camille, destroy the Garen. Against Alistar, pick Camille, destroy Alistar. She's also very good against mobile champions like Lucian and Ezreal because of her ultimate. So that's the thought process you have to have now when picking Camille. You can't just always pick her now. She's just not that strong anymore. Darius is okay. Jace is okay. Do I even have a Jace video? That is the real question. HellsDevil Jace. Do I even? No, I do. But this is when he came out. Basically, I don't have a Jace video. I need to make one, because I'm actually decent on Jace. Yeah, Jace is okay. Nautilus in the Baron lane requires a certain playstyle. I don't have a Nautilus video either. Oh my god. Like, I can actually play Nautilus. Why am I not making a video? Why am I such a perfectionist with this content, man? Like, it takes me so much time to make videos because of this stupid thought process of mine that I have to master this stupid, idiotic, stupid champion before I make a video. I know you guys want to see a lot of champions, but I just haven't mastered them yet. I don't want to make the video, because I think in the long term, that's how I think about my channel. I don't want to make a video and then, like, have people watch it in like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, a year maybe, and they'll be like, what the hell is he doing? I want people to watch my videos and be like, oh my god, this guy knows what he's talking about. I want that to happen during every video. And that is exactly why I'm mastering the champion. So each and every video is going to be a top quality video in my mind. You know, people can think differently about it, but that's how I think about it. Let's see. Where was I? Pantheon decent. Mundo decent. Any champions I want to talk about? Warwick, the new champion. I mean, I don't recommend him in the Baron lane. Sure, his ult is good. But the thing about Warwick is he gets countered by bruisers in general. He's very good in one-shotting squishies, but like, he's not that good into bruisers. Reason is because you cannot get bruisers under 50% health very easily. You know, if you look at Garen, how are you going to get a Garen under 50% health, like, easily? If he does get under 50% health, he's going to heal back up, right? Sett is going to heal back up. Fiora is going to heal back up with her first ability. Wukong is going to heal back up with his first ability. You see what I'm saying? Renekton is going to heal back up with his first ability. All of these champions have healing, so it's really hard to really fully utilize the passive of your second ability when you're playing Warwick in the Baron lane, because the enemy is just going to heal up, like, they are Baron laners. So I just don't recommend him in the Baron lane. That's what I'm trying to say. Vayne is severely underrated in the Baron lane. Actually, I would put Warwick much lower. What am I doing? I would put Warwick here. Here, actually. Yeah. Like, I just really don't recommend him. Vayne is actually severely underrated. If you have tanks in your team, Vayne is super powerful in the Baron lane. You can just solo carry the game as a Vayne in the Baron lane. And you guys know how disgusting it is when you're up against a Vayne Baron lane. I actually have two, not one, but two Vayne Baron lane videos on my YouTube channel. Just look up HellsDevil Vayne if you want to see them. It's two of them, so you can enjoy those videos a lot. Cannon in the Baron lane is also great. He's not broken or anything, but he's just great. Kill is severely underrated. Like, I've always been a Kill lover, and I've known the powers of Kill, and Kill is good. Like, she's A tier for a reason. Not S tier, not S plus tier, but A tier. She's okay. Like, if you just survive to level 5, you know, just farm with your first ability and your third ability, survive to level 5, and then you can farm with your ranged attacks. And at that point, you know, you're gonna be okay. You can use your ultimate if you screw up, and you should be fine. Like, and when you get to the late game, of course, you're gonna be insanely powerful. Any other champions I want to talk about? Nasus. Nasus is actually okay. He's in the A tier, so that still means he's like okay-ish, I guess. Another champion that I want to talk about is Singed. Singed is not okay. Singed sucks now. They nerfed Singed, and they nerfed his main item, which is a Leandris. I tried to make him work. I tried to go full AP Singed, but then they nerfed Leandris again, and now I just don't recommend Singed anymore. So, next up is the jungle tier list. Oh, wait. Oh my god, I finally... Oh. You guys don't know. I sent a message to someone very important, and I didn't get a response. Okay, this is a little bit of personal story randomly in my video. You guys know this feeling? Like, it was basically business-wise. I sent a message to this person, and this person was ignoring me. I thought I screwed up. Like, I was not getting an answer. I did so much work on something, and I got my answer now. I just got my answer. I've been stressed the entire week about this. I'm sorry. Why does this happen in the middle of a video? I was so unbelievably stressed about this. A whole week I did not get responses, and now I finally got one. Is it even positive? I'm gonna check after the video. Oh, at least I got an answer. That's amazing. Okay, jungle tier list. Like, I keep putting Wukong on top, but it's so hard to put him on top for me. You know, you guys know why? Because he's not broken, but he's just always works well. And like, Wukong's ultimate is the one thing that makes him so powerful. Like, his ganking is okay. His skirmishing is really nice. You know, if there's like a 1v1, 2v2 in the jungle, he's very, very nice. But then his late game teamfighting is... You know what? I'm gonna break the cycle. It's nice, but it's really not nicer than Evelynn. And it's really not nicer than Shyvana either. And not nicer than Morgana. I would say that it's nicer than Lee Sin though. I'm gonna break the cycle. Like, I love Wukong, but it's just not better than these three champions. Talking about these three champions, Evelynn, she got nerfed. But who cares? She's still broken. She is so damn broken. I actually got a new way of building Evelynn. I'm gonna make a video on it very, very soon. I'm not gonna spoil it now, but I'm gonna show you guys a whole new Evelynn. There is this streamer that I watch. He's extremely toxic, but he is literally the best Evelynn in the world. His name is Call Me Tog, and I've watched his streams, and he's changed my perception of Evelynn completely. I already thought Evelynn was broken, but watching him, like, the way he builds and plays Evelynn is like out of this world. The way he does it allows you to carry every game, like 90% of the games if you play it properly. So I'm gonna show you guys that very, very soon. And just be on the lookout for it. Next up is Shyvana. Shyvana is so powerful. Oh, she's so powerful with that ultimate of her. She can power farm really fast. She takes objectives very fast. She has it all, guys. She has so much burst damage too after your ult. Her ganking is good. Just an overall solid champion. Morgana is a bit different. She can farm super fast. Her ganking is okay, but then her late game, guys. Pooh. And also, like, her one item power spike, when you get that Rylai Scepter, is already disgusting. Like, the slows that she has with her pulls, pretty much permanently slowing the enemies. Like, absolutely disgusting champion she is. But she's so powerful. And then the root as well. And the black shield. Like, oh, she's so strong. She's so strong. Lee Sin is okay. The thing about Lee Sin is he's useless in the late game, and they did nerf him a few patches ago, so... Like, again, he's okay, but... Meh. You really have to gank with him. Like, you really have to get those early ganks, and you kind of rely on your team to carry the game. Unless you're a god-like Lee Sin player. If you're just an okay Lee Sin player, you know, you get some kills here and there early game, but then in the later stage of the game, you can't carry the game anymore. You just can't. Next up is Kha'Zix. He did get a nerf, but he's still very, very powerful. His first ability doesn't hurt as much, but again, he's still very, very powerful. Worthy of S+ tier. Gwen, like, I feel like Gwen is not supposed to be a jungler, but she's so damn broken that she's still S+ tier in the jungle. Her jungle clear is not that fast. Her ganking is not that good, but again, she's so broken that she's still S+ tier in the jungle. Olaf, you know, great. Riven, again, same story as the Baron lane. Gragas also full AP. Yet again, I am experimenting with a new Gragas build, but for now, full AP Gragas is very, very powerful in the jungle. You go for Luden's Echo so you can clear the jungle even faster. His ganking is insane. His late game is insane. Everything is insane about him. Echo jungle, it did get nerfed, his jungle clear, but again, it's still good. It's still good. Not as plus tier anymore, but it's still very, very good. His ganking is great. His late game is even greater. Xin Zhao, or Xin Zhao, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. That's a story for another video. Xin Zhao is great. You know, he's not amazing, but he's okay. Like, the thing about Xin Zhao is he can beat out those early game junglers. He can beat out Pantheon, and he can beat out Lee Sin. He can actually 1v1 him. It's crazy. There are not many champions that can do that. He can 1v1 him in the early game. In the late game, it's a different story. He's very weak in the late game. And, like, he's actually decent in 1v1s in the late game. And he's decent in killing off ADCs. But besides that, he's really weak in the late game. Like, really, really weak. But early mid game, very strong. His ganking is very powerful as well. Like, that's the point of this champion. Warwick jungle is great as well. It's very beginner friendly. Like, probably the most beginner friendly champion in the game. Because it literally shows you which lanes to gank. It shows you a trail to the lane that you're supposed to gank. If an enemy gets under 50% health, it shows you, hey, go gank that lane. His ult, you know, all of his abilities are just easy. He's very easy. You just have to know how to play him. I really recommend you to watch my Warwick video because I learned the champion before making that video. And I have some amazing tips for you guys if you want to get into this champion. It's a very fun champion to play. Irelia jungle, her jungle clear is okay. Her ganking is okay, but I feel like you have to be even better at Irelia to successfully play her in the jungle than in the mid and Baron lane. Because to be able to hit the stun while ganking, you have to know the combos, like using the first part of your stun, using your first ability on a minion to last hit it, then stunning the enemy, using your first ability, like that kind of stuff, right? The really hard stuff has to be standard for you. Nunu in the jungle, well, I don't know why I'm seeing so many full AP Nunus, but please don't do that. That doesn't work. Tank Nunu, however, is great. It does really, really well. You know, he can take jungle decently fast. He's a very good tank. He has good sustain. And he has good CC, right? Like, it's just an overall solid champion. Vi is very good against champions like Katarina, like Samira. You know, if you need to cancel out something, Vi is amazing. Or if you need to reach a champion, excuse me, Vi is very, very nice. She's also surprisingly strong in the late game. I remember thinking Vi sucked in the late game, but I don't think that anymore since half a year. Her second ability is surprisingly powerful in the late game because it gives her movement speed and shield. And in the late game, when you have all the ability haste, the cooldown is what, like 5-6 seconds? So you constantly get a shield, which is pretty big. And as long as you get those 5 stacks by basic attacking the enemy, the shield is going to be super big. And you're going to be able to sustain a lot. And she shreds armor of the enemies. And her third ability does AoE damage, which allows you to shred armor of more people. So she really has it all in the late game as well. A champion that doesn't have it all in the late game is Pantheon. But Pantheon is still S tier. His early mid game is so damn powerful that I put him in the S tier. He's just very, very powerful. His ganking is out of this world with his ultimate and his stuns. And in the late game, he has one thing that he's good at, which is 1v1ing, right? Like, he can 1v1 very well, and he can tank pretty well. His third ability, the shield, is very nice in the late game as well. You go in, you do your combo, you do your damage, and then you shield yourself away, and that's all you can really do in the late game. Mundo is okay, Fiora's okay, Diana's okay. Rammus is actually surprisingly powerful, like, definitely an S tier champion. I may have even put him higher, but like, for now, I've put him in bottom S tier. Very good. His ganking is amazing and his late game is amazing. The problem of Rammus is he has his counters. You can say every champion has his counters. The thing about Rammus is he has his hard counters. Gwen destroys Rammus because she does true damage. Vayne absolutely smashes Rammus. Amumu does really well because he has true damage as well. There was another champion. Who was I thinking about? Morgana. Oh, Morgana demolishes Rammus. And one more champion, Camille. Like and there is more. Like there are champions that just severely hard counter this champion, where it makes it pretty much unplayable to play in. So keep that in mind when you play Rammus. Also, Rammus is very good if you have a Jhin in your team, because Rammus goes in, Jhin follows up with a root and his traps and his ultimate. Like Jhin Rammus. I'm just giving you guys this advice right here. If you ever want to play Rammus, pick it with a Jhin. Camille jungle is okay. Nautilus jungle is late game. Early game, you just want to farm. And the problem is, like, you're really not going to be ganking early game up until you reach level 5. So the enemy jungler is going to gank, get kills until you reach level 5. His jungle clear is decently fast. But as I said, like, that early game, the fact that you're not really able to do anything in the early game is a bit of a problem for Nautilus. But if you do survive that, if your teammates understand it, you get to the later stage of the game, that's when it becomes powerful. Because then you can gank with your ultimate and get those juicy kills and be the biggest frontline your team has ever seen. Set jungle decent. Master Yi. Master Yi is basically like Katarina. You play him, you know, your teammate goes in, your team goes in, and then you follow up and kill everyone. But man, besides that, you don't provide any real value. Like, that's the only thing that he does, cleaning up. And 1v1s. Like, that's really the only thing that he does. I don't, like, people in higher elos know how to deal with him. You can abuse him in lower elos, but in higher elos, people generally know how to deal with him. I'm not sure what Sion is doing in my jungle tier list. What the hell are you doing here? Did I misclick it or something? Jarvan jungle decent, Graves decent. Anyone that I want to talk about? Amumu is better than you think. I just want to say that, but not too much. I don't have an Amumu video yet, but I am practicing Amumu as well. Renekton jungle, special message for Baron VG if you're watching this video. This sucks and you suck. Okay? I have a friend of mine that keeps trying to convince me that Renekton jungle is a thing, but it's not a thing. It's not good. Okay? Don't play it. Same story for Jax. They absolutely killed Jax jungle. Don't play it anymore. Next up is mid lane. And here is where it gets crazy. 1 second. Oh, my back needed that one. Sorry, guys. Oh, wow. Oh, I felt like, how do you say it? In Dutch, you say it, licht in mijn hoofd. It's like lightheaded. I got lightheaded. Okay, so Vex broken. I almost made a new tier for Vex. Vex is absolutely broken. This champion, if you're good at her, broken. I made a Vex video, so I got 32 kills in a ranked match. 32 kills. There's not many champions you're gonna get 32 kills on, by the way. But yeah. I also have a video where I got pretty much 3 pentakills on an ADC. You know what? We're gonna make it a goal. If this video reaches 1,500 likes, I'm gonna bring out the 3 pentakill video in the coming days. Like maybe tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, something like that. This video reaches 1,500 likes in one day, I'm gonna bring that video out in like within 3 days. Let me just say it like that. I'm gonna bring it out immediately. So if you want to see it, make sure you give the video a like. Next up is I need to explain why Vex is broken. The fear is called fear. Yeah, the fear is so disgusting. She can survive early game easily. That's number 1. Easily. It's not like she hard wins early game, but she can survive easily. Her ganking is amazing. Her late game is broken. Absolutely broken. There's really nothing that counters this champion. Are you a long range champion? Then she's gonna ult you and kill you. Are you a short range champion like Zed or Yasuo? When you go on Vex, she just uses her second ability, which gives her a shield and fears you away. It doesn't seem like there are any counters to the current Vex. She has so much damage. Unbelievable. Like, the damage is just unbelievable. And the cooldowns are very low as well. Like, if you reach the late game, her third ability or her first ability has like a 2.5 second cooldown. It's crazy. Her second ability also has a pretty low cooldown, and her ultimate also has a low cooldown. So broken. Absolutely broken. Yone is also pretty broken. His ultimate is disgusting, and him being able to do all of the stuff during his third ability, you know, he has 5 seconds to kill you, and then he can just go right back to safety, is so disgusting of this champion. So just a very, very powerful champion in general in the game right now. Katarina, you know, this is the same story as Riven. It seems like everyone that plays Katarina is just very good at her. If they're not good at her, it's trash. Like, she'll probably go 0-7 and be useless. But if the player is good, this is like... I mean, do I even need to explain to the average Wild Rift player about Katarina. Everyone knows, right? Because there was a period where she was broken. Everyone knows. She can still do that, but it just requires more skill. Irelia, same story as the Baron lane for Irelia. You need to be skilled. You need to be able to hit your stuff. But if you can hit your stuff, you're going to destroy everyone. Like, if you hit one stun, it's pretty much a kill when you play Irelia. And you know what the beauty is of this champion? The beauty of Irelia? This is one of the only champions you cannot flash away from. Now, what am I talking about? You cannot flash away from. Irelia's first ability has a longer range than flash. And you will constantly reset it if you either kill an enemy or if you hit it on a marked enemy. So as long as you mark the enemy and don't waste your first ability, right? Like you stun the enemy, use first ability, you ult the enemy, use another first ability, enemy flashes away, you use another first ability and they're dead. So the enemy, if you're a good Irelia player, enemies can never flash away from you. As long as the enemy screws up, they are dead. Like against pretty much every champion in the game, if you screw up, you flash away, right? Like if you're up against Lux, well, Lux is not a good example because she can root you. If you're up against Zed, Zed catches you, you flash away and dodge his shurikens. You're up against Ari, she engages on you, you flash away, you try to go to safety. You're up against Akshan, you flash behind your turret to block his ultimate. My point being, you can just flash away to safety. Irelia, you can't. She's gonna follow you and kill you. And her second ability allows her to tank up stuff as well. Just a very good champion right now. Diana in the mid lane, very, very solid. Her ultimate is very powerful, and she can survive the lane very easily. She can even win lane. Not easily, but she can win lane as well. Yeah. Akali, the good Akali player is going to be super powerful in the mid lane. She's better in the mid lane than in the Baron lane, because they actually changed Akali. Akali used to be broken in the Baron lane, but now she's a full-on assassin, which means she's better against squishy enemies. Which means she's better in the mid lane, because the mid lane has squishier enemies than Baron lane. So she can assassinate enemies more easily in the mid lane, and late game Akali is broken. Like if you reach late game, she's gonna solo carry the game. She uses her second ability so you can't catch her, and her ultimate will shred through your entire team. It is absolutely crazy how much damage it does now, but I still feel it's balanced. She's on the stronger side, but it's not absolutely broken, because you can abuse her in the early game. Next up is my favorite mid lane champion, and I keep telling everyone, Annie. In my eyes, Annie is broken. I've even put a star on her, which means she's special. Broken. Like, if you just know how to play this champion, every game is like almost a free game. Like, if you reach the mid game, not even late game, mid game, you can get free kills over and over and over again with your ultimate. And the cooldown is so low. The cooldown is much lower than the enemy death timer. So even if you kill the enemy support, you're going to get the cooldown right back up and you can kill someone else. In the late game, like I'm not going to explain to you guys how to play Annie now. Watch my Annie videos. Please, if you haven't already, and even if you have, watch those videos, pick up this champion and play her. Like this is for the people that don't believe me. This champion is disgustingly broken, in my opinion. But I'm never seeing her in ranked matches. And if I didn't have a YouTube channel, I would be spamming the hell out of her in the Baron lane. She's basically like Sona in the support role for me. Absolutely broken. Like I could get Challenger easily with these champions, but I actually get Challenger by playing everyone else, but it just takes me a little bit longer. But like these types of champions can solo carry the game like crazy. Orianna is also a champion that can solo carry the game, but she's different from Annie. She doesn't have burst damage. She has sustained damage. She's the 1 versus 5 champion. Annie is not a 1 versus 5 champion. She just gets free kills. Like, she gets 1 free kill, 2 free kills, but she's not a 1 versus 5 champion. Orianna is. In the late game, she can 1 versus 5. Like, her ball does so much damage. She has good sustain, insane sustain damage. And her third ability gives herself a shield as well in case you get caught. A shield and armor and magic resist, believe it or not. It's crazy what this champion has. So, and on top of that, she also provides her team utility. You can shoot your first ability and then your second ability. You will not only slow the enemies, you're also gonna buff the speed of your allies. So you're not only doing insane damage, you're not only tanky because of your third ability, you not only have insane CC because of your ultimate, you also provide movement speed. And it's a lot of movement speed, by the way, to your teammates. I believe the buff, like the movement speed buff, lasts like 2 seconds, maybe even 3 seconds. So they'll have the movement speed to catch up to the enemy easily. Zed in the mid lane is great as well. Like very, very nice assassin. In the late game, his ultimate has a super low cooldown, so you can spam the hell out of his ultimate. Next up is Khazadin. They did nerf Khazadin, but he's still very powerful in the mid lane. Like, very, very strong assassin. In the late game, he's broken, but of course, you have to get to the late game. That's the thing. His early game is not that good. His ganking is not that good, but late game is where he gets super broken. Ari is quite the opposite. Her early game is great. Her ganking is great, but her late game is also decent now. They changed Ari now. They changed the ultimate. She's actually much more powerful in the late game than she used to be. Her charm is very strong in the late game to catch off an enemy. But if you do screw up her combo, she's useless. Like after her ultimate, if you don't have at least one kill, you've pretty much lost the fight as an Ari. Like you have to get those kills. That's the thing with Ari. If you don't, then it's useless. Yasuo is great in the mid lane, right? Like if his knockup is really, really nice. If you have good teammates with it, you know, a Wukong, Alistar, and follow up with your ultimate as a Yasuo, it's very, very powerful. Otherwise, Yasuo on his own is decent, but not that strong. Akshan is great. Akshan is great. Like, what am I supposed to say? Akshan is just great. His ganking is really good. His 1v1ing is really good. His late game is really nice. And of course, his stupid passive of his second ability, if you use it properly and revive your allies, it's so powerful in the late game. Oh my god. Oh, it is so unbelievably powerful. The fact that, literally the fact that you can fully revive an ally in the late game from a 55-second death timer, that should already tell you. Like, if a champion has that, it should already tell you this champion is at least S tier. At least. Twisted Fate is great. His stunning is still as good as ever. His ganking is still as good as ever, right? The only problem is he doesn't have sustained damage. Only until the very, very late game you can carry damage-wise. The reason that I'm saying that is because in the mid game, he's strong, but he's strong for different reasons. He's strong because he can stun enemies and your team can follow up. But if your team is trash, he can only really carry the game after 4 items, because that's when he has like a lot of damage himself, and that's where he can like pretty much 2-shot enemy squishies. So that's the thing with Twisted Fate. You can't solo carry up until the very late game, but he provides a lot of value in a different way with CC and with his ganks. Pyke mid lane is severely underrated. If you're a good Pyke player, he's so powerful in the mid lane. His ganking is really good as well. He only struggles a little bit in the late game, but you can snowball so hard, get yourself 5 items, and while the enemy doesn't even have 3. That's the thing with Pyke. Echo mid lane, really, really solid as well. Good assassin, and he can push waves super easily, play it safely. Like that's the thing with Echo. He can play lane super safely, skill into the late game, and do his Echo thing in the late game. Gragas is great. Veigar is really nice, even though they increased the cooldown of his third ability back to what it was. He's still very powerful. S tier champion for sure. He used to be S plus tier, but now with the increased cooldown of his third ability, I just put him in the S tier. Still very powerful. Brand in the mid lane, I believe I don't have a Brand video, even though I have like 100 games on Brand. To me, this champion is so unbelievably hard to play. Like, really, really hard to play. You have to hit your skill shots super well, and but he's strong. Like, his late game is so broken. Like, in the late game, all you really have to do is just click on all of your abilities. You don't even have to aim them. This is late game Brand. Especially that ultimate, and use Stasis Enchant. You're gonna blow up everyone. You're gonna do like incredible damage to everyone. Ziggs doesn't seem to fit in this meta. He's still good, but like he really doesn't seem to fit in this meta. Why? Vex hard counters him. Warwick hard counters him. Yone hard counters him. All the new champions hard counter Ziggs, and everyone is of course playing the new champions, and the new champions are very strong. So Ziggs falls off indirectly. That's the thing. So that's why he's bottom S tier now. Karma mid lane is great. Lux mid lane is great. Anyone I want to talk about? Corki. Corki is okay. It's just, I don't know. He just doesn't feel like the old Corki anymore. He really doesn't. Especially, you know why? Because they reduced the ultimate cooldowns. You remember that change where they reduced everyone's ultimate cooldowns? They didn't reduce anything for Corki because his ultimate, you know, it doesn't really matter. So that's the thing. That's the thing with Corki. But he's still decent. He's A tier. I have no idea why Singed is here. Let me just put Singed here. No idea why he's here. Anyone else that I'll talk about? Aurelion Sol. I'm gonna give you guys a small light to the end of the tunnel, because it seems like there is just a super dark tunnel of everyone requesting to play Aurelion Sol. I'm gonna put a little light. You know what? I'm actually gonna put a little light there. Just give me a second. You see that? This is the light that I'm gonna be giving to you guys right now. I found the #1 Aurelion Sol player in Europe. I messaged him and he agreed to make a video with me. You see that light right now? It's getting brighter. The Aurelian Soul video is getting closer. But we agreed that we would wait until the next patch, which is patch 3.5, because there's going to be new items. So the video would be viable for much longer. So it is gonna happen. The Aurelian Soul video, okay? And I found the literal best Aurelian Soul player in Europe for you guys. I got you, okay? So I got you with this champion. Now stop commenting about it. I was always busy with it, but this time I finally fixed something. Let me see. You don't really want to play Seraphine mid. You don't really want to play Graves. Jace, in my opinion, sucks as well in the mid lane. And Cannon, also not good mid lane. Sona. And champions that you really don't want to play anymore is Singed and Teemo in the mid lane. Don't play those champions in the mid lane. They got nerfed already, and especially in the mid lane. Now let's talk about the Dragon lane. And this is where a lot of stuff has changed. Samira, I almost made a separate tier for Samira. See, there's a few champions where I don't really understand whether it's me being very good at them or the champion being broken. Like an example would be Annie, right? Like, am I just good at Annie? Or are people not understanding that the champion is broken? Same story with Sona. Like, am I just good at Sona? Or do people just not understand she's broken? I have the same thing with Samira. Am I just good at Samira? Or do people not understand that this champion is beyond broken? Beyond broken. Like, beyond broken. Not just broken, beyond broken. The fact that I almost made a separate tier for her should say enough. She can... So, let me tell you actually two weaknesses. The only two weaknesses she has. Number one, CC. The enemy has CC, you know, Pantheon's second ability. Vi's ultimate, they can cancel your ultimate. There is a counter to this, which is your support getting Veil enchant. Veil is when they put like a Morgana shield around you. Or the QSS. These two things. If your support doesn't get that one, you can get a QSS and block CC and counter it. The second this is a very small weakness, but you can get over it easily, is if she's super behind, if you're like 5,000 gold behind, her ultimate doesn't really do any damage. But the thing is, any ADC doesn't really do any damage if you're 5,000 gold behind, right? Except for Vayne, but besides Vayne. That's the thing with Samira. If you just keep up, her ultimate is going to destroy everyone. So all you have to do is not get behind 5,000 gold and like get a Quicksilver enchant and block CC. And you're going to be golden. You're going to destroy everyone on this champion. Especially if you have a good support. If you have a good support, the game is pretty much over already. This champion. Next up is Vayne. And this champion as well. So damn disgusting. But for a different reason than Samira. Samira blows up everyone. But Vayne blows up individual targets. Like the fact that she has true damage. And she really doesn't care how much armor anyone has. Hell, she doesn't even care about how much health anyone has, because she does true damage based on the enemy's maximum health. That should already say enough about the champion. It really should already say enough. She wins 1v1s against everyone pretty much. Like if you're in the side lane and the enemy has a Vayne, you're never safe, because if the Vayne shows up, she's gonna kill you. You can't run away either from a Vayne, because she gets bonus movement speed when she's walking towards you. And that's the thing with Vayne. And during team fights, frontline is not going to be a frontline. Whenever someone goes in, Vayne is just going to destroy that someone. It probably takes like 9 attacks to destroy anyone as a Vayne. Like you'll chunk down a Garen from 100 to 20% HP with 9 basic attacks. Now you may be thinking, 9 basic attacks, that's so much. This is like a bad case scenario. If you're fed as a Vayne, it's going to be 6 basic attacks only. Maybe even less. The reason that I'm saying 9 is because, you know, you're going to be taking 36% of their maximum health with the true damage only. And then on top of that, of course, the crit damage you have as well. So you're going to be chunking down any tank, any frontline, let alone if you get to their backline. If you get to their backline and stun someone in the wall, you're going to one-shot them. It's crazy. Next up is Ezreal, and yet again, he's also insanely powerful for a completely different reason. Completely different reason. Ezreal, you can pick in every game. Ezreal can play his lane safely. Ezreal has a really nice ultimate which does an insane amount of damage. Ezreal also does a lot of damage to front lines as long as you're not super duper behind. And Ezreal in the late game no one is going to be able to catch him. The reason is, as long as you're able to hit your first ability, you're going to be able to spam your third ability. Because every time you hit your first ability, it reduces the cooldowns of all your other abilities by 1.5 seconds. So that means you're going to be insanely mobile. All you have to do is just hit it. And if the enemies are chasing you, you don't even have to aim it. You can auto-aim your first ability and you'll hit it every single time. So in the late game, the damage becomes huge and you can spam your abilities, you can spam your third ability. You can see how the champion gets broken. And his ultimate has a 20-second cooldown, let alone the 1.5-second reduction every time you get when you use your first ability. So that's why Ezreal is on the S plus tier on the S plus tier line. Next up is Lucian. And you've guessed it, a completely separate reason why he is in the S plus tier as well. Lucian doesn't have range, but Lucian can kite insanely well, and Lucian can adapt as well. You can go full crit Lucian to destroy the enemy in general, but you can also go for the Mana Mune Black Cleaver Bladed Rune King build, which is an absolute tank shredder. And it makes you as a Lucian tankier as well, because the Black Cleaver gives you health. So, you can pretty much pick him in every game as well. He does have his counters, but he's also a champion that you can pick in a lot of games. Like, you can pick him in a lot of games and you can absolutely 1v9. And he can catch up to anyone as well. Like, as long as you just get the fight going your way, he's going to finish off everyone. No one's going to run away from him. Next up is Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa is great. You know, the Runaan's Hurricane buff made Kai'Sa better as well. There is this hybrid Kai'Sa build as well that people are playing. I have tried it out. I don't really like it a lot, but maybe I'm just not playing it correctly. But Kai'Sa is just a very solid champion. She counters a lot of ADCs. Like, Kai'Sa can deal with Vayne. Kai'Sa is decently, or Kai'Sa is insanely powerful to Tristana, for example. And she's very good into champions like a Renekton who wants to 1v1 her. Like, that's the thing with Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa is very good into diving champions, you know, assassins, those types of things. Because she can use her ultimate and she can destroy them with her first ability. Tristana, very good late game. Like, as long as you can survive the early game, her late game is so good. Because she gets super big range and her damage is crazy. The attack speed she gets from her first ability, the bonus damage from her third ability, and then that ultimate to push anyone back is crazy. And then on top of that, the added mobility of her second ability too. Really, really good. Jinx, the only reason Jinx is here is because she's super good with enchanters and Runaan's Hurricane got buffed. Runaan's Hurricane buff is a direct buff to Jinx because you always build Runaan's Hurricane and your rockets are going to be doing much more damage because of the Runaan's Hurricane buff. Another champion that's better now because of the Runaan's Hurricane buff is Ashe. Also, right, like, you're going to do so much more damage because of it, and you're going to be slowing everyone because of the Runaan's Hurricane. But the fact is, you will do more damage on an Ashe when you build Runaan's Hurricane, which is very, very powerful, and she's super powerful already. Caitlyn, on the other hand, doesn't build Runaan's Hurricane, but she's still very strong. An S tier champion. I actually have another Caitlyn video ready for you guys. I was really not satisfied with my first Caitlyn video, to be honest, but I have a new one, which is much, much better. It really shows you how to play Caitlyn and how to abuse her range. Like, that's the thing with Caitlyn, her range. You know, she has range with everything. You can abuse her range, use the traps to keep the enemies away, and use your third ability to keep them away as well if someone manages to catch up to you. Xayah is great as well. I don't like Xayah personally. I never play Xayah. It's actually the only ADC that I never play. Actually, yeah, she is literally the only ADC I never play. I have even played Draven. It's crazy. Like, I never play Xayah. I find this ADC so unbelievably boring that I just never even touch her. Like, that is really my reasoning for it. Not that she's bad or anything. It's just so boring to me. I never play Xayah. Varus is okay, like AP Varus and Lethality Varus. Lethality Varus is not broken anymore, but it's okay. And again, AP Varus is also okay. Draven is pretty strong, but also I would still consider him okay, because late game he's very weak. Any other champion I want to talk about? Jhin. The thing with Jhin is, it's just, I don't know, like, he's so draft reliant. Like, you really have to pick him with a team that has CC. And the enemies shouldn't be tanky. Like, those are the two conditions with Jhin, basically. The enemies shouldn't be too tanky, and your team has to have CC. Like, if you have a Thresh or a Rammus or Senna or any CC, you know what I mean? Like, you can follow up with your root, and that's where he becomes powerful. Orianna works. Misfortune kinda sucks. And, you know, the rest, I just don't really recommend you to play. Next up is the support list. And as you can see, there's no one in the S plus tier. I feel like support is quite balanced now. No one feels broken. Like, even Karma doesn't feel that broken to me now. She's still S tier. She's still on top of the S tier. And she's almost S plus tier for me. but I just didn't quite put her in the S plus tier because I feel like not necessarily fully balanced. She's just not broken. And the next up is Nami. Nami is so powerful as well. Like I would say almost similar to Karma. Like her laning is very strong. Her late game CC is very strong. The movement speed she provides to her team, just she really has it all. Um, Also, she can hold her own ground. She does a lot of damage herself, with her third ability, with her second ability, so she can even hold her own ground. Next up is Thresh. Thresh is so powerful. Like early game, he can get those catches, and in the late game, he becomes so tanky. His lantern is great. His ultimate for the slows is really great. Just very, very good. Next up is Ashe support. Again, no one is playing it anymore, but it's so powerful. Like so powerful. You have your ultimate very often. You can proc Mandate so easily with her second ability. Really, really strong champion. But I really recommend you to play it only if you really know how to play it. If you don't know how to play it yet, I have a video for you guys. Look it up, HellsDevil Ashe support, and you'll find it with the Mandate build. It's so powerful. Rakan is really strong as well. Early game, mid game, and late game. Like in the lane, his second ability is very strong, and he can play it very safely. He can go in, heal himself up with his first ability, and go back out with his third ability. And of course, in the late game, you all know how much damage a full AP Rakan does in the late game. Like he's a support, but he'll chunk down anyone to 50% health, and then your team follows up and kills everyone. Bike support is great as well. If you can hit your hooks in the lane, very, very nice to catch out enemies. And of course, that ultimate of his during team fights is so disgusting. If an enemy is low, he's not safe. He's just gonna die from your ultimate. Lulu, one of the best enchanter supports in the game right now. When you play it with a Kaisa, when you play it with a Vayne or a Jinx, very strong. Just go Ardent Sensor, and the buffs that you provide are like unrivaled, really. Alistar, great tank engaging support. You do want to be careful with him in dispatch though, because there's a lot of true damage champions that are very strong. But besides that, very, very good. He does a lot of damage himself. He can also hold his ground, and he can 1v1 a lot of ADCs in the late game. Janna, insanely powerful, especially with the Protect enchant. The fact that you can double the shield of your third ability is crazy to me. Like, you can double the shield, and you can make your ADC super tanky if someone dives them. So, honestly, that alone makes her ST already, and then all of her other abilities are super powerful as well. The Tornado, the second ability, and the ultimate healing, of course. Sona. Now, the only reason I dropped Sona from the S tier to the A tier is because of the new item, Serpent's Fang. People don't seem to build it against a Sona though, because I have been playing Sona and people don't build it enough. But if people start to understand that this item absolutely hard counters Sona, I don't feel like she's gonna be killed like the champion pick, but she's gonna be so much weaker. Like if enemies build Serpent Fang, if they build Serpent Fang and anti-healing, Sona becomes like, her usefulness is gonna be cut in half, maybe even more. Like that's the thing with Sona. So people just don't know that they can do that. And I'm saying it here. I don't even know why I'm saying it, because Sona is my pocket pick, but I have to teach you guys how to play against any champion, right? Soraka is super powerful as well. She does have healing. She does rely on healing, sure. You can get anti-healing against it, but she has so much healing that she just goes right through that anti-healing. That's what it feels like. And she also goes for Airy, which will give her allies a shield. So even if you have anti-healing, the Airy is still going to give a shield. And her ultimate heal is so disgusting as well. The fact that it heals more if you're low HP. So if a fight is happening in the Baron lane, which is super intense, all Soraka has to do is just heal her ally when he's under 35% health, and the healing is gonna bump him right back up to like 60% health and allow him to win the fight easily. Also during team fights, of course, that ultimate healing is so good. It heals everyone. Really, really strong. Next up is Yumi. Thing about Yumi is she got buffed. Like she got a massive nerf a few patches ago, which really made her weak. But she got buffed back, and she's okay now. She's not broken. She's just okay. Like that's all I really have to say about her. She's okay. I would say she's balanced. Lux on the support is very strong. She does a lot of damage. You can go full AP Lux. You'll do so much damage in the mid game, and in the late game, you'll do even more damage. And not only that, in the late game, you have a lot of shield. Like your second ability becomes so powerful in the late game. You can shield like half of the HP of your ADC. It's crazy. Braum is great as well. Really, really nice if the enemy has projectiles. Really, really nice if the enemies have bruisers. Like if they get close, all you have to do is basic attack them, and they're gonna get stunned for an eternity. Senna support. I currently have I believe an 11 win streak on Senna support. I have a new build and I'm working on a video. Like Runan's Hurricane buffed Senna as well. Senna support is great, but again, you have to have tanks in your team. Um, you have to have tanks in your team for it to work because your team goes in and you follow up with your ultimate. That's the point with Senna, right? And then from the back line, you're gonna do a lot of damage. You're gonna be healing up your team with your first ability. That's the power of Senna. Meanwhile, you're taking a lot of stacks, the souls, which gives you even more attack damage, more healing, more everything. Nautilus support is really, really nice because he's very tanky and he has that constant shield. Like he constantly shields himself, which is so annoying for the enemies to deal with. And he has a slow, the third ability, and like he just has one of the biggest CC in the game. The ultimate, the first ability, the passive, the slow, everything. Another champion that has a lot of CC is Leona. Quite similar to Nautilus, honestly. Feels very similar to Nautilus. Like the thing about her though is she's more of an all-in champion. She uses her ultimate, goes in, tanks everything, stuns someone, and gets a kill. Nautilus is more of a tank throughout the fight. He constantly slows the enemies. He can root enemies over and over again with his passive, and like that's the difference between the two. Gragas support is great. Blitzcrank support is great. Seraphine is okay. Morgana, I don't really recommend you to play her support, but it's okay. And then the rest, I mean, I just don't recommend you to play anyone else. Jarvan, Galio. Galio can actually work. Don't get me wrong. Galio. No, you know what? No, you know what? Galio is definitely. And Seraphine would be here. Yeah, this is much better because Galio is definitely better than Seraphine. So yeah, that is it for the tier list video then, guys. It was a very long video. And yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed it. And I will see you all in the next Wild Rift video. Bye bye.